Well, that's where everybody from YouTube came from. Public access, I swear. I mean, well, no, I don't swear, but this unscripted, uncensored, that's where everybody went to.
Certainly, yeah. YouTube
I mean, we've been doing it for 30 years.
Well, you know, we have also run the computer center here at the library. And so we've been able to watch all the different trends going on in the computer side of things from that laboratory, okay, as far as, I mean...
Name a few.
Well,
just off the top of your halo, Norm.
Well,
you wear many of them tonight.
I mean, it started off with email. As
yes.
far as when the computer center opened up here in the library back in '97, as far as word processing was the main thing. I need to go and write a report, okay? And so we had word processing computers, and we also had a few internet computers. And obviously the internet has kind of won over, okay? And so now, yes, we have word processing on all the computers, we have internet on all the computers. But then as far as other phases have gone through, as far as shopping, shopping online has been a big thing, as far as, you know, and taking
college courses online is a big thing.
Sure. You know, so
teleconferences.
You know, lots of different things have kind of evolved as far as the computers as a way to deliver signal, whether that's interactive, as far as two-way or whatever sort of thing. Web conferencing, you know, I know as far as you talked about as far as distance learning, that's a big thing. But, you know, like I said, we've seen kind of all those things, and I remember 3-4 years ago, as far as the library was struggling with it, because everybody wanted to watch videos on the internet, and bandwidth was a big issue as far as, like, you know, if you watch a video on the internet, it takes up a lot of bandwidth. And at that time we had T1 lines, okay? Tell me if I'm getting too geeky here, but...
I'm hanging on here, I'm
okay,
hanging on.
All right, so T1 lines, I mean, they had so much bandwidth that they could get through there. And when you started playing videos through that took up a lot of that pipeline, okay? So a lot of the bandwidth. And so the computer system would start slowing down, okay?
Oh, okay.
When we moved back into the main library here, the renovated library downtown, one of the things we did is we changed over to a different server as far as we got away from the T1 lines. We were opening up to the bigger pipes, basically, as far as to carry the data, the internet, back and forth. And that's networked throughout the whole library system. And we went with one of the vendors here in town, and that was political in a sense, but,
yeah.
but really as far as it actually was a business decision as far as from our IT department. But so we've seen that convergence of the computer and television, okay? With AT&T, what they want to do is take access channels and basically boot them off the regular cable section, okay? So if you want to watch access, you have to basically go to a Windows-based kind of drop-down menu over here as far as access, maybe channel 958, okay? So first of all, the remote control up to 958, okay? And then you go up to the upper part of the screen, there's a drop-down menu as far as which community do you want to watch, okay? And
wow.
Find Fort Wayne, okay? Click on that, and then of course our 5 channels will drop down. Which channel do you want to watch, okay? So like I said, it's not cable TV as we would expect it. It's a different kind of thing altogether, okay? So you drop down as far as pick a channel there, and then it delivers a little tiny signal, much like a YouTube kind of picture.
So how are they basing that? How are they basing that suggestion? Is it because do they think
it's
that
a business?
Oh, it's a business.
Okay.
Okay.
As far as, you know, that obviously right now if you watch television is watched on so many different screens right now, okay? Like I said, as far as you've got the widescreen, big screen TVs, okay? You know, as far as let's watch the Super Bowl on my 50-inch plasma or LCD screen, okay? You know, surround sound and the whole 9 yards, right? That's obviously one end of the spectrum, okay? Yeah. You got a lot of people out there still with the old TVs as far as the analog, okay? Remote controls. Everybody's got to have a remote control.
Oh yeah, we all have to have that remote control.
We can't live without a remote control. So then there's the old cable-ready sets. Okay, I think I've got 3 of those in my house that obviously don't have a digital tuner, okay, and we got that whole DTV thing coming at us in February 2009. The broadcasters, boy, they're harping on that. And then as far as you got all these little tiny screens now that are popping up, okay, it's like I said, as far as you can watch TV, in a sense, on your computer, okay, it's a little tiny box.
Yeah, that's how my show is on in New York.
Okay.
That's how it's broadcast online from New York in that little box.
Right. Okay. So if you want to watch it online, obviously, so people are watching TV, watching little tiny screens. Okay. Now, I know that as far as when I grew up, sorry about that, Mr. Microphone. When I grew up back in the '60s, as far as the black and white TVs, okay, and not very big screens. Okay. If I had a 19-inch screen, boy, that was luxury.
Oh yeah. If we even had a TV.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So like I said, as far as you got the full spectrum, as far as from the 50, 60-inch plasma down to watching TV on your cell phone.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's acceptable to everybody. Now, do I want to watch the Super Bowl on a little tiny TV? No, I don't. Okay. So there are some access programs that are, in my opinion, just as important as the Super Bowl. Okay. Maybe they don't have the same viewership. Okay.
Like this one.
Okay.
With you on it.
But obviously, as far as it's still important.
It is
okay?
very. You're right.
And obviously the visual aspect of things is usually just as important as the audio. So we're talking about
save access.
Save access.
Save access.
So a couple years ago in 2006, as far as we had the Indiana legislation, as far as it changed cable TV.
I remember that.
That was a revolution. Okay, fairly quiet revolution. I was in the studio, or directing a program in the studio earlier today called Stupid Politics. And we talked about as far as how politics, well, one of my things right now is that I think that the politics and business are clearly in bed with each other, okay? And for a long, long time, we've had the separation of church and state.
I was just sitting here thinking, and so is spirit.
Okay, all right.
Get the spirit in there.
Our founding fathers, as far as realized that as far as the influence of the religion, which was the power of the day, okay, back in the 1700s sort of thing, okay, and earlier, that was the power, and they wanted to make sure that that was separated from government, okay. Well, 200 years later, as far as business is now the power, okay. We have businesses out there as far as, think of a business, okay, whether it's oil, cable TV, whatever sort of thing, okay, Microsoft. Huge international power, okay? So having a separation of business and state, I think, is more important sometimes as far as than having a separation of church and state, okay? Obviously,
Very
as far
good
as
point. Very good point.
So right now, as far as going back to the Indiana state legislation in 2006, AT&T came through and sponsored a lot of that legislation, okay, and helped write it, and got the Indiana state bill passed here, and that revolutionized it. It changed the game as far as for cable TV. We knew that it was a local franchising aspect of things. Telephone companies wanted to come through, and they said, oh, it would take us years and years and years to negotiate a franchise with every community in Indiana if we needed to do that. Well, that's what cable companies have been doing for years, okay? So they wanted to change the way the game is played and take it to a state level, okay? Because that's the way the telephone companies had been doing business through the Public Utility Commission, okay? So they passed that legislation here in Indiana in 2006. And then AT&T took their roadshow up to Michigan and passed legislation up there. That actually, as far as they were able to fine-tune the legislation, make it a little bit tougher on access, and it passed in Michigan, and now they've taken it to Ohio, and Ohio has the legislation, and now they're moving down to Kentucky. So they've gone, and basically as far as